Nobody from my family visited me in the hospital for exhaustion. 0 visits. No phone call. My brother texted me, "May I still get my car payment?" All done. I stopped pretending to have a family then.
Did something.
A few days later, my dad panicked and called. What he said next. Never forget. Back up. My name is Aaron. I'm 29 and a public school speech therapist in Oregon, which means I spend my day with coughing kids, piles of paperwork, and parents who know everything or don't show up. Kids aren't coughing because of speech issues. It's fall. Quite cold. Half the class is sick. Someone is always sniffling 3 inches from my face because I share a room with the school nurse. I write lesson plans and try not to fall asleep face first in microwave noodles after school. I didn't mean to metaphorically end up in the hospital from burnout. I collapsed in the hallway at work while walking a 5-year-old to group therapy. I went from standing to being in 4 and watching a nurse shake her head and say, "Sweetheart, if you don't stop, your body will." Burnout, stress acute, dehydration, lack of sleep. Whatever, it wasn't dramatic. I realized while wearing someone else's hospital robe, smelling like broth, shaking my hands, and staring at my phone through watery eyes. Nobody contacted us. Nobody missed calls. No text. Not from Mom. Not from Dad. Absolutely not from my brother Josh. I texted them. From ER. I kept it light. "I'm hospitalized," I said. I collapsed at school.
Okay.
Fluids are given. Just tired. Love you guys. End of story. No drama. Someone would call, I thought. Please write hang in there. The group chat was silent. Nighttime bus station abandonment. 3 hours later, my phone buzzed. I became hopeful. Maybe Mom? Maybe Dad?
Nope.
Just Josh. One sad face emoji then. Still pay for the car? Are you okay? The sound is scary. Just the car. Like me collapsing in public due to a billing issue. Then it hit me. Cold and fast. Like someone opened my ribs and let the wind in. I wasn't sister. I was a living payment plan. You can tell when you're used. You can play pretend until you say it or admit it to yourself. I pretended. I was done being trustworthy. A strong one. Holds everything together. So I stopped being the source. The nurse returned and asked about your pain. Physically? Maybe a 3 out of 10. Emotionally? Burn it all somewhere. She left. I counted my cancellations this year as I stared at the ceiling. Weekend at the beach with friends. Cancelled. Josh needed rent assistance. My car needs new tires. Postponed. Mom called it another family financial crisis. My second weekend job? That helped pay the mortgage. Their mortgage. I work weekends at a mall toy store. In December. If you've never stood behind a register while sugar-crazed kids scream and parents argue over a $3 discount, watch out. Not relaxing. In slow motion. Emotions collapse. I never stop to ask. Why am I alone in working 2 jobs? Josh is 20. Healthy body. Without his Fortnite addiction and job aversion, emotionally stable. He quit college sophomore year. Not his path. Parents nodded and said, "Find yourself." When I was his age, I worked full-time while in graduate school. Okay though. His path must be found over time. A decade has passed since Mom worked. Says toxic workplaces affect her emotionally. Dad works occasional freelance jobs but mostly fixes imaginary problems and rants about society's demise in the garage. Not disabled. Not retired. Life has been given to me, so I let them. I thought good daughters did that. I closed my eyes and imagined my studio. The couch is tiny, the fridge sounds like an airplane engine, and the cabinet holds instant noodles. They knew I was hospitalized. They didn't care. The hospital kept me for 3 days. Lying down. I felt human again after years. Mentally. Physically. Unprepared lesson. No tantrums. No 5-year-olds licking the carpet while I explain syllables. Not constant parental pressure either. Like someone cut the power, I stopped twitching. My discharge papers arrived from a nurse on day 4. She smiled her familiar tired smile and said, "Rest. At least a week off. Doctor orders." I nodded. I didn't tell her my side job had emailed about a missed shift, or that I was still worried about paying for the prescriptions they sent me home. Those 3 days brought 11 family messages to my phone. No one asked, "How are you?" or "We're worried." Just reminders. That's
Needs.
from Dad. "Remember the mortgage?" A few hours later, in came bill. "Friday deadline." From Mom. "Cute sweaters are on sale. Can you send $50? The next day. "Remember where you bought that blender? Ours broke. Send a link." From Josh. "Bless you, sis." Venmo request with laughing emoji. And another. "Mom said you're silent. You may. Just send if busy." A few more. Stickers. Memes. Actual memes. They knew I was hospitalized. They only messaged me about bills, blenders, and sweaters. Extra sad face emoji. I didn't cry.
A laugh.
Out loud. In the hall. One of those dry, cracking laughs that start in your chest and sound errant. Nurse turned to look. I dismissed her. I didn't reply. No call. Didn't argue or explain. Instead, I typed one sentence in my phone's notes app. "Not loving me. They rely on me." I cried on the stiff hospital mattress. Maybe exhaustion. Maybe from that sharp, aching grief you only feel when you realize something you've always wanted, like a loving family, doesn't exist. Never did. That was it.
The end. Issues.
I was exhausted at home. I had bags under my eyes, a prescription bag, and a long list of things the doctor strictly forbade. The fridge hummed like an old washer. That usually drives me crazy. The low, steady noise was comforting that night. Guess it's mine. And unlike everything else, it wanted nothing from me. My phone buzzed. Bills, messages, reminders. Business as usual.
Just made coffee.
Sitting by the window. Finally, after what seemed like forever, I sat. Did nothing. Not nothing. My mind raced. I remembered something my mom said when I was 10. Josh woke up crying at night. "Aaron, be a sweetheart and rock him," Mom said in my room. "Mommy has migraine. However, you're older."
Got it.
I felt strangely flattered. I was older. I could handle it. That phrase stayed. Became my childhood soundtrack. I put Josh to bed every night at 11. My parents would run to the store or grab dinner, which sometimes became midnight. Josh yelled for Mom. I'd hold him in my pajamas and cry silently to calm him. I was the grown-up, right?
Idée ménagère.
By 13, I picked him up from daycare, bringing him home, making him mac and cheese because Mom's exhausted and Dad's brain is fried from work. I had to read to Josh even though he had no homework. It helps growth. They called it aid. But you can decline help. Never had that option. If I said homework, they'd go, "Do your homework later. Josh needs you. He only has us." He only had us. Yet I was always part of us. Never the needy kid. I was 14 and invited to a friend's birthday. Bowling.
Pizza.
So excited. Even my parents agreed. Mom said, "Look at Josh that morning. His fever. Please don't leave me with a sick child." I stayed home just like that. The soup was too hot, so Josh yelled at me while I watched the birthday photos go online. It wasn't his fault. He was young. But so was I. Nobody noticed. I cleaned my house to clear my mind. Decluttering. This box of childhood items was found. Saved photos, drawings, and small items.
Just one photo stopped me.
I was 10 and kneeling on the kitchen floor with a rag.
I recall that day.
Mom stated guests were coming. Josh napped, so I couldn't vacuum. "You'll wake him." Off he went to prepare. Father was in the garage. I scrubbed floors and socks, hands raw. "You're mature. You grasp." I wondered why Josh doesn't clean. Mom blinked and said, "Boy, he's younger. Do you understand?" When Josh left college years later, I paid his dorm fees. Last time I said, Mom texted a month later. "He wants to study design. The cost is $300.
Could you?
I paid that too. I kept telling myself it was temporary. that my parents were exhausted. Life was hard for them. Support was needed. That if I kept my cool and was kind and helpful, they'd say it. We admire you. They never did. I got this instead. You work again. You're strong. You're stable. We don't. Things are simple for you. More difficult for Josh. I sometimes hinted at fatigue, that it was excessive. However, the conversation always turned to guilt. What? You're leaving us. You're dramatic. Ungrateful, you are. You can't help despite our raising you. I'd stop talking. Follow it. Keep working. Up to the hospital. While lying there, hooked up to and for, I realized something I hadn't admitted in years. I wasn't required to carry this. I started writing in a notebook. In case I forgot. How much I sent monthly. The bills I paid. What I bought. How many times I rejected myself. My life. My needs. For their comfort. Once I finished that list, it hit me. I could have had a decent apartment. I could have vacationed. I may have lived. Like a person. Instead, I gave everything. All I got back was, could you send more?
Not now.
I was done denying their competence. Stopping their bottomless ATM-style draining. No more paying for Josh's car. My phone buzzed nonstop. Finally, I took it. Unread 23 messages. Breathing deeply. I read. I hadn't responded, so the tone changed.
Fast.
Initially, they pretended to worry. Mom wrote, "Sweetheart, how are you? I'm worried. Please text." Almost sweet. Almost real. A few hours later, the electric bill arrived. Can you pay by Friday? Otherwise, a fee applies. There was motherly love. 2 text over. Josh went full drama mode again. Aaron, hello? You alive? Right after. Would you pay my car payment after death?
Oh.
And then, not seriously. The day after tomorrow, please. Dad's short, irritated 1:30 minutes later. Aaron, where are you? Your mother worries. Do you lack decency? Reading stopped after that. To keep my sanity. Shut off phone and try to sleep. Poor result. My thoughts kept me awake. Heavy.
Sick.
Circular spinning. I woke up with sandpaper eyes and a splitting headache. Sat silently staring at my phone's dark screen all night. Finally, I turned it on. In case of urgency. It rang immediately. Loud and demanding.
But
I remained silent. Some seconds passed. It rang again. Once more. Once more. They didn't care about me in a hospital. Not interested in my text. On 4 fluids.
But now.
I'd stopped talking. Now they panicked. Silence was risky. Silence was risky. Silence could mean the source dried up. Calls alternated with texts. Dad's last read. Aaron, what's wrong? Why are you silent? You didn't forget the mortgage? It's due Thursday. The moment arrived. I finally did what I should have done long ago. I sat down and texted Dad briefly. I can't help this month. I've got costs. 30 seconds later.
Scene.
Then silence. Lingering silence. Then boom. The flood. You can't? Just one transfer. You know our struggles. You're leaving family.
We expected you. Well.
Lots of selfishness. Remember everything we've done for you? I felt hardened after reading each one. Feeling like soft clay for years. Moldable warmth helps. In an instant, I was solid.
Pulled. Set.
Unbreakable.
I didn't cry.
Not anymore. I knew I was free from their leash. Typed a final reply. I owe nothing.
Click send.
So I turned off my phone. No drama.
Noblesse.
Just off. Grabbed my coat and left. No plan. Destinationless. Air alone. I went to a small home goods store near my apartment. One I always considered as I passed. Later. After payday. After paying their bills. Once Josh is organized. Afterward. Not later. I got a big ceramic mug. Dark green, thick-walled, golden rim. My hands are heavy. Solid. So I thought. I deserve a nice mug. No chipped ones from my parents' kitchen. Not a conference gift. A real mug. For me. Because I want. Then I entered a jewelry store. Simple silver earrings. No gems. No flash. Clean lines. Wearing them made me feel pretty for the first time in a while. Not for others. For me alone. Not retail therapy. This wasn't revenge shopping. It was homecoming. To myself. When I returned, I turned on my phone. I was ready to read the new messages. 22 missed calls. 8 voicemails. Emails. Trips of guilt.
Threats.
Bad jokes. Stress disguised as care.
Dad.
You have no idea how this affects us.
I thought you were better, Mom.
Was wrong. Josh sent one message.
Wow.
Seriously? You're disconnecting us. Sitting at the kitchen table. I opened my notebook to that page. The number-filled one. Everything I paid, when, and for whom. My parents' mortgage. Utilities. Difference. Josh's car. His online courses. Holiday gifts. Dinners. Their crises.
I totaled again.
Over 3 years, I could have bought a used car. Or put down a deposit on my own home. I wrote lowest on the list. Beginning this month. $0. Big bold period. I breathed out. Silence followed all those calls and messages I ignored. My phone was silent for 2 days. No bill reminders. Avoid passive-aggressive texts. Family group chat stickers spam-free. Just peace. And honestly, it was awesome. I even wondered if they got it. Maybe they got it. Maybe they gave me space.
Yeah, right.
Dad called on day 3. He never calls. Brief texts without fluff are typical.
But now?
Ringing. Not picked up. 10 seconds later, a message appeared.
Pick up. Urgent.
Mom's sick. My stomach sank. The phone rang again. I replied. Aaron? Finally. His voice shook. Not sure how to say this. Your mom had a bad morning. An ambulance was called. The doctors blamed stress. Her heart rate rose with blood pressure. Her breath was short. We feared. I kept quiet. You caused this, he whispered.
She's worried.
You vanished. You didn't reply. What was happening was unknown. He thought she lost you. You left us. All of us adore you. Where were you when I was hospitalized? He didn't let me. Her condition remains poor, he whispered. A pale woman. Pains in her chest.
No idea.
Come see her alive. You're not mad, tell her. Tell her. You stayed. He hung up. I threw clothes on after dropping the phone on the bed. My head spun. That saying stuck with me.
If you want her alive.
Mom was always weak. Blood pressure, migraines, mysterious symptoms. Always something. I always trusted her. Maybe it's real this time. Hospital. Home. Not asked. Just drove. At the door, they met me. Dad opened it, as if waiting. Mom was sleeping in a dim room with drawn curtains. It smelled medicinal and sour. She appeared tired and small, like she'd been through something. Barely talking. As the doting son, Josh sat quietly and seriously at the bedside. Mom looked up and whispered, Aaron, I'm glad you came. I sat with her and held her hand. Eyes burned. Always my mother. It appeared she had experienced something. She whispered. I was alarmed. I dreamed you left us. I said nothing. I apologized for being unfair, she said. It wasn't malicious. We adore you. It was terrifying when you stopped responding. All seemed plausible. Too real. I doubted everything. Maybe I overreacted. I visited every evening for several days. Housework assistants. Got groceries. Mom mostly stayed in bed, and everyone spoke quietly. Sometimes she stood briefly. Reported dizziness. I got her a blanket. Cloud-like gray. A cozy, nice thing. I ordered her fluffy slippers. I wanted to look after her. Show kindness. Nobody asked about money. Mom mentioned offhand. New drugs cost a lot. Insurance doesn't cover everything. It's fine. We'll cope. I paid $120 for medication. Dad thanked you. I hope she recovers soon. A few days later, Mom whispered that the washer broke. Unsure how we'll do laundry now. I sent $400 for a new one. Instantly, I was back in my old role. Huffle. Supportive. Convenient. The world felt almost normal again. Just quieter. More tense. I couldn't hold it in anymore while doing their kitchen dishes one evening. "Why didn't you visit me in the hospital?" I requested. "You didn't text." I waited. Mom looked down. Was silent. Dad entered. My ankle twisted, he said. "Really bad. Unable to walk." "Your mom couldn't leave me." Our worries were real. The situation was right. You comprehend?
Yeah.
It made sense. I'd always understood. The next day, everything collapsed. The bakery near my apartment sold rolls. Near the exit, I met Mrs. Parker, my parents' upstairs neighbor. Mum always chatted with her.
She always smiled at me.
Begun small talk. I smiled and nodded politely. Then she asked, "Your mom's doing?" A soft smile. I said she's doing better. Raising an eyebrow.
Was she sick?
I froze. "I hope it's not serious," she said before I could respond.
I saw her last Friday, oddly.
She looked great. Bright and cheerful. By the makeup aisle, we met. When I asked if she had a special occasion, she laughed and said, "Finally, a day off." Now she's sick. I blinked. "Friday," I requested. "Evening."
Yep.
Around 6. The place was packed. Friday. She reportedly had a severe episode Friday. The day I ran to their house and sat by her bed while she clutched her chest and whispered like she was dying.
Weak.
Barely talking. Left around 5.
Hey, what?
Up, changed and shopped. Dazed, I drove to my parents' house. Perhaps Mrs. Parker misjudged the day. Maybe she mistook my mom for someone else. Maybe it was a coincidence. Their actions couldn't have been so low. So manipulative. I arrived as usual. Was silent. Pretended everything was fine. While putting away dishes in the kitchen that night, I heard Josh on the phone in his room.
Phew.
That was close. Really thought she'd cut us off. He chuckled.
No, she returned.
Mom should have taken acting seriously. Even I believed her. We did it like a movie. I ceased. Just stood in the hallway, listening to my brother, whom I rocked to sleep as a baby, mock me and laugh about how easy it was to reel me in.
Mom, Dad, Josh.
All of them. Joining in. Performance. A setup.
Me.
Normal duties resumed. Provider, fixer, good daughter with open wallet. My gaze must have affected Josh. He turned to see me in the hallway. His face reddened. Aaron mumbled, "What's up?" I regarded him. Was silent. Nothing more to say. I passed him. Got my bag. I put on my coat. "Tell Mom and Dad," I said calmly. Really sold.
Great job.
I left after opening the door. It was cold outside. Maybe it was windy or rainy. None of it affected me. I didn't cry. Something inside me quieted. Another thing woke up. 6 months. Got a new apartment. Small but with park view windows. I hear birds mornings. I smell fresh coffee from the bakery downstairs at night. I sometimes wake up unsure of my feelings. Strange lightness. Calm, even breathing. Then I remember. It's calm. I'm debt-free. Living my life. Don't work weekends. My hobbies return. I read real books now. Novels, not worksheets or therapy guides. Joined pool. Just bought a couch. Not because it was cheap, but because it was soft and lovely. I spent Christmas in Seattle. Because I wanted. No family anymore. I have myself. It turns out that's enough. Now I have friends.
Perhaps it's more complicated than that.
The real kind didn't judge, guilt trip, or hit me with the well. Our coffee, nighttime texts, and quiet time are enough. No demands, manipulation, or scorekeeping. And my family? Cutting off the money supply caused a mild apocalypse. Poor Josh lost his car. Since he had no job or brain, the bank repossessed it. He hasn't found his path. Magically, my dad's freelance projects disappeared. He'd been watching YouTube in the garage all along. The universe must have grown tired of calling that work. My mom? She bravely returned from a decade-long sabbatical over being too emotional for the office and marched to the employment office. I believe she's still looking for a job that lets her sleep in and be around kind people. They couldn't afford the mortgage and sold the house. They share a cramped one-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. My betrayal may still be discussed at dinner. Apologize? Of course not. That requires self-awareness. I'm easier to portray as the ungrateful daughter who ruined their cozy home. They tried rallying extended family. They launched a PR campaign. Emails, calls, sob stories. Her mother nearly died of heartbreak after she left. After everything we've done for her, Erin seemed responsible.
She's selfish.
My long-lost cousins texted and called. Great aunts. Random relatives who barely remembered my birthday. How could you hurt your mom? Did you really leave your parents? I always considered you mature. It seems we were wrong. I felt tiny splinters from each message. They were ignored first. And I got mad. Mad, but not meltdown. Not crazy online poster. Strategic mania. I opened Google Drive. Made a folder. It was named. For everyone concerned. I uploaded my 3-year bank statements inside. Transfer screenshots. From mom to dad to Josh. Text message screenshots. Mom, you don't want us in the dark? Josh begs for help or I'll be expelled. Mortgage due soon, Dad reminds me. I added a special file. My mom thanks me for covering Josh's therapy course, which was an online gaming subscription. Everyone who approached me received the folder. No drama.
No insults.
Just before you judge, here's what was happening behind the scenes. A few apologized. Some vanished. Some doubled down on the classic. Your family. You can't leave family. It turns out family isn't your parents. People who don't use you as a life battery. I'm not bitter. Not broken. Healing. Sometimes you have to break free from the role they gave you as a child to become yourself. I appreciate your patience throughout. You think, did I act correctly? Share in the comments. Please subscribe if you like these stories.